योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
Hello and welcome again to the parallel session that is a part of our course HRM for non-HR managers. Along with the video sessions, we are also recording our guest interviews, and today the guest who is with me in the studio is Dr. Ashok Karania, and he is the Vice President of EMEA region, which is Europe, Middle East and Asia, Business and Global Alliances. Welcome Dr. Ashok Karania. Thank you very much for being so generous with your time, and thank you for coming here to answer the questions on behalf of our participants.
Thank you very much for inviting us. Always a pleasure to connect with the academia.
And always wonderful to listen to the views of a very multifaceted IT professional. Just to tell you, he has a doctoral degree and his research is in the field of film industry. So, can you tell me to start with your career path leading up to this position and your role and responsibilities as a VP EMEA Business and Global Alliances at InfoStretch Corporation?
Sure. So, let me first tell you about my role at InfoStretch. So, I've been with this organization for last 10 years and played different roles over the period of time. So, currently I am responsible for the business development, sales, partner activities across the non-North America region, and also managing the global partnerships and alliances. Being a key executive and a senior member of the organization, planning, strategy, people management, mentoring are always part of it, and we play a very important role in defining the culture and ensuring the values of the organization keep alive.
Dr. Karania, you have a very diverse range of interests, and your career path also has been winding up a very interesting road which not many people have. So, can you say something about how you came to this organization and this position?
Sure. So, I am a commerce graduate who is now in IT, and my areas of interest include technology, of course, travel, language and movies. But how it all started, when I was in class 12, so I am a person who's educated, brought up in Mumbai, Bombay, that's what the original Bombay fellows say. So, when I completed my class 12, which is known as HSC, I was among the top 20 students, and when we went to the University of Mumbai, they had a new vocational program where they identified top 30 students and gave them an offer of, along with their commerce graduation, doing some vocational courses. I was chosen for the IT information technology, and that's how my initiation into the world of IT started. I loved IT, and eventually I found that I was going beyond the curriculum and I was implementing the things which I learned in the course in the college itself. So, we did the computerization of attendance in our college magazines, college admissions, etc. And we also started a Computer Society of India, which was India's first society for college students, and we organized a lot of inter-college activities in Bombay. Long story short, that's how I got into the world of IT. Immediately after my commerce graduation, I did my MBA from SP Jain. Again, I chose information technology, finance and marketing as specializations. But the interesting thing which I did was, along with a few friends, whom we started the Computer Society in our college, we created a startup and I was working in the startup. So, whatever I was learning in my MBA days, I was trying to implementing it there or applying it there. I joined a German multinational to gain the corporate experience, how things are done. But immediately after 2 years, I moved back to the startup which was created by my friends. We scaled that organization from about 20 people to 250 people, and that gave me the complete entrepreneurial experience in the IT industry. So, I was the face of the organization in terms of all external activities, which is sales, marketing, people management, investor relationship, compliances. I came to Gujarat, we were doing a lot of projects with government of Gujarat in localization area. We met a lot of dignitaries in Gujarat, including the CM Modi at that point of time, and they invited us to start operations in Ahmedabad. So my Bombay IT company, we had a new center in Ahmedabad, and that brought me to this city. I exited that organization in 2009, and at that same time, American company InfoStretch was setting its base in India, and they had opened up a center very recently in Ahmedabad, and they were looking at some person who had a experience of scaling an organization and also taking care of the same functions which I was doing in the previous organization. With InfoStretch, we grew from less than 50 people to 1500 people now.
Wow.
And it's all been learning through the University of Life. but the interesting thing has been to gain new experiences as we have gone, and this has been a completely entrepreneurial role, and we have learned new things on the way, and the technology industry is such, the things keep on
Exactly.
changing.
Yes.
So whatever you have learned, you have to unlearn. And whatever you have unlearned, you have to again try to bring new dimensions to those. So that's been my journey so far. Along with the IT journey, I was always passionate about other areas, and I thought, let me create some tangible goals around my passion. So the movie thing, I said, okay, let me do a PhD and also apply the management principles as the industry was going through a big change. We were completing 100 years of cinema, and we thought it would be right time to bring out a new perspective. So my thesis was the first thesis from the business perspective in the Indian film industry. For travel, we have created new goals. For language, I work with an organization called Gujarati Lexicon. Again, it's a
Yes.
application of information technology and modern principles to preserve, nurture, and popularize Gujarati language.
So I have been a user of Gujarati Lexicon. But coming back to the interview, what is your take on the role or importance of people management, especially for those managers who do not have formal degree in human resource management?
So I believe two skills are very important in life, whether you are in a corporate environment or a non-corporate environment, and those are people management and sales or selling. People management is everywhere, even marriages are about people management, how you ensure that all the ladki walo sabka egos are in place. But coming back, whether you are running a sandwich shop, whether you are a consultant in Accenture, or whether you are a principal in a school or a college, people management is very important. Because at the end of the day, organizations are there for a purpose. They have to deliver results, they have to deliver goals, and those results and goals can be delivered only through good management of your resources, and humans, people are the most important resource. People create leaders, and leaders' job is to again create more leaders. I'll be very practical. If I have to grow in the organization, I need to create good leaders who can replace me so that I can go further in the organization. Also, my success in the organization will be determined by the results my team deliver. So if I don't know who my people are, what their needs are, what their motivations are, what clicks with them, how do I manage different people, what are their aspirations in life, I'll not be successful. So whether you have formal training or not formal training, these facets are very, very important in the life. One more important factor, and I'm sure it's a cliche, but it's very true. People don't leave jobs, people don't leave organizations, people leave managers. So if my boss is not a great boss, I'll leave him and I'll move to greener pastures. So it's your responsibility to have the right kind of team around you, create the trust, create the respect, and provide them with ample opportunities to grow. Provide them ample opportunities for learning, training, give them the feedback, and then you will be successful. So people management is a very, very essential skills across the board.
Well, but the span of your activities has included Europe, Middle East and Asia. And when we talk about people management, we talk about individuals who are in the context of culture. So according to you, does culture matter, and if so, how?
Absolutely, culture does matter a lot. In fact, culture, eats business strategy for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So if you don't have a great culture, your strategy will go in vain. Now let me tell you some of the nuances which I have seen. First of all, great managers, great leaders, they display the same traits, whichever culture, whichever region they are born. They create a great trust among their employees. They create mutual respect, they provide learning opportunities, they provide right feedback, and they give space for the employees to grow around. So the what works is something which is very common. It's like what Tolstoy said, happy families are same, unhappy families are very unique in their own way. Coming to the cultural differences, so I have predominantly focusing my work on the European region and of course, the Asia Pacific region. In India, what do I find? Our structures are more formal. We are more rigid in our ways. We still are patriarchal, hierarchical in our organizations. You would not see a situation where you are in a meeting and your subordinate can cut you, or he can give a different point of view. In fact, he would be looking at you and saying, okay, should I speak? If he is only given a cue, then he would be talking about it, which does not happen. One more important thing, and I believe this is something which could be Indian trait, we are too power centric, so if I feel I am a boss, then I have some power, I am waiting for that chair. As soon as I get chair, I'll see what I can do. Whereas when we look at the European culture, people are equal, and you see that equality at play. I am equal, you are equal in the truest sense. It's just that we are playing a different role.
Roles.
Right now, you are the captain of the ship, and I am, one of the members, but it could change at any point of time.
Yes.
And that is seen in the casualness of the conversations, that is seen in the inherent trust. You see it in play at meetings, at dinner tables. In fact, I have been to some of the bosses, in the European region or in American region, and when we go and visit their places, you will see that they are washing their dishes, they are cooking, and they are talking to you like a normal human being. So he is just another human being. Whereas I would visit somebody here, he would be properly decked up, and show his stature. They are not open to showing their human side.
Yeah.
I have seen bosses admitting their mistakes very openly in Europe region. I have seen bosses, taking turns. They don't expect the employees to work on vacations. Whereas here, the bosses would demand their subordinates to work on Saturdays, or ask them to do things which
Give extra hours.
Give extra hours and do that. They even take credit for the work which sometimes they have not done. And I think that is a reflection of our society. That's a reflection of the competitive space which we come from. And I believe it's also the insecurity. We are growing, we are new to these things, whereas the equality is very, very deeply entrenched into the European society. So the insecurities are very, very less.
One aspect is also that the IT as an industry has been at the cutting edge of evolution, changes, and change leadership. So in that context, for our viewers here, can you share how your organization has evolved over time, and how the notion of people management has evolved in your industry over time?
Yes, the IT industry has been at forefront of a lot of changes.
Yes.
IT industry is a people driven industry. It's a knowledge industry. The goods or the results are produced by human minds,
Yes.
where the hearts and the minds have to work together. So you can motivate the employees through the right means, otherwise you will not get the result. It's not a factory where I put a cotton and there's some output coming out. That thing can be automated, and the machines are anyway taking over that job. You mentioned 2 points. One was about the evolution of my organization, and second was about the industry as a whole. Let me talk about the industry. IT industry is prone to a lot of changes. Y2K, BPO,
Yes.
IT services, now mobility, and now in fact digital. So the industry keeps on changing, and it makes a lot of demand on the employees to change themselves with the changing environment.
I see.
And here the IT industry has did a wonderful job of creating learning mechanisms, creating different tools to employ, learn, and create those avenues for the employees. In fact, if you see Infosys, Wipro, and other organizations have factories or universities where they take the raw material from our universities and create a finished product. Apart from that, self-learning mechanisms using virtual conferencing, using e-learning tools are also there, where people can adapt themselves to the new technologies. So lifelong learning is there to stay in
Yes.
the industry, and that's going to be important skill for the future. Work life balance, I think one of the very important thing which IT industry has brought given is the
Yes.
work life balance. You know, I have been in an organization where Sunday used to be half day and Saturdays used to be full day. Then that slowly changed to Saturdays being half day, and now Saturday has to be off, and it's a given thing. In fact, in the Sweden and other Nordics country, people are debating, should there be just a 4-day week, right? And can they use the 3 days for their personal life? So the work-life balance as a concept has been, you know, a big, donation from the IT industry to the
sector.
general thing. And people expect that work-life balance across different industries now. Gender equality. IT
Yes.
has been one of the leading industry in providing the gender equality. The representation of women is high. There are a lot of women employees who come back and make a career in IT because it allows them those flexibilities which are not available in the other industries. I also see IT industry, especially in the Silicon Valley, in the Nordics, and also now in Indian region, taking up causes. Whether it is CSR activities, whether it is education, whether it is taking up causes of ethics, environment, climate control, standing for the rights of LGBT, they are taking up causes which other industries have shied away from. So from all these perspectives, I think that IT industry has really taken us from one level to the another, and they have really unleashed the human potential. They have also created respect for the human, and the knowledge worker, which Drucker said, has been actualized in the IT industry.
Yes.
I'm sure this also applies to advertising and other knowledge driven industries. The second point which you mentioned, Dr. Parikh, was about the evolution of InfoStretch and what have been the policies. So when I joined InfoStretch, we were less than 50 people, and people would wear multiple hats. I would be still taking care of some recruitment activities, selling, organization function, also taking care of admin activities. But as organization grew, we got specialized leaders. Now what these specialized leaders do, they create structures, they create policies, and that's how the foundations of a larger organization can be built. Now when we are 1500 people, we realize the importance of those policies. A simple example, we are talking about people management or human resources. One person would be doing everything. Now we have specialized teams to take care of recruitment. We have specialized teams to take care of employee engagement, specialized teams to take care of employee growth, learning opportunities, which were never there. Now these specialized people, these specialized policies really give justice to the role which is there.
Yes.
At the same time, we have tried to create the layers to the minimum, right? So while we have created experts within the group, but at the same time we have not created different bands to make the organization very long. We have tried to create a flatter organization. Also, IT by nature, people have open door policies, people have skip level interactions, people can go to anybody's cabin, we have anonymous interactions which is happening. So that always keeps the mindset that we are all equals but working in different roles.
So yeah, that's a very interesting slice of life from InfoStretch point of view. In recent past, the company also got some kind of award for one of the best places to work with. Can you share a little bit more about that?
So for the past 3 years, we have been winning the Great Place to Work award, and it's a hat trick, so which is a thing
which
we are
is
very,
really
very,
an achievement.
Happy about, and we are happy because it's a endorsement by the HR fraternity, the industry, and we being a people driven company, this
Yes,
really matters
yes,
more to
yes.
us. I think and also if you look at specifically the IT organization, we are in the same names as Google and the Accentures of the world, so that really makes us happy.
Right.
Now let me stop bragging about my happiness and tell why do we think, or why do I think we got this. I think the number one reason we got this accolade was because of the great learning and the growth opportunities which we provide to our employees. We really are working on some of the cutting edge technologies, cutting edge projects, where we take the fresh talent, we take the lateral talent and put them really into the deep sea and help them to swim the oceans. This kind of learning opportunity doesn't come in an organization which has 100,000 people. So I think the number one thing which really helped us was the learning and the growth opportunity, which we also see in the kind of employee referrals we get when we go in recruiting. The maximum referrals come from our own employees. The second thing, of course, has been the work-life balance. We really are at the leading edge again in providing work-life balance. The policies which we have for our women employees are really something awesome. In fact, we go beyond. When a person does something really good in his project or is successful, we give them bonus leaves. We also have a concept called bucket list, right? Everybody has a bucket list. So they define what is their bucket list. They want to go parachuting, they want to go on a solo trip. So we take those information, and when they do really well, they are able to checklist that item from their bucket list. So it's a different way of rewarding. At the same time, it's a very great entrepreneurial place. People can decide what they want to do. They can take the initiative, and the organization supports them. For example, I started the Filmy Friday Club in our organization, where we take a movie, discuss this. Many employees saw Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro for the first time in our office, and we had 2-3 hour discussion on that. Some of my colleagues in my team started the InfoStretch Cricket League, and it's one of the most famous cricket leagues in Ahmedabad, where 20 companies participate in that. We have the Suez Super Saturday concept. Right now, I am driving the CSR initiative, and we are contributing to the society. So whatever we decide, organization backs us, and that's the freedom which is really available to us, and that keeps us connected to the organization. So there are, of course, formal compliances which any organization does, which is gender neutrality, next number of paternity and maternity leaves, but we have really gone beyond that, and we have lived our core values. In fact, out of our 7 core values, mutual respect, fun and family spirit are identified as 2 core values. So you would have children coming to the office, you would have Mother's Day surprises where the mother of the employee would be there. So those little things which we have done have gone a long way in making this a great place to work.
You actually answered my next question. I was going to ask that because InfoStretch is in such a people-driven and people-centric industry, what part of people management is crucial at InfoStretch?
Absolutely. In fact, not just at InfoStretch, even at any modern IT organization or a modern workplace, there are some factors which are emerging as a core principles of people management practice. I think the number one has been the growth, the learning opportunities.
Yes.
People no longer just want to do a job. They are looking at their career as a set of experiences. It's not something I'm doing to get paid.
Yes.
Is it something which is aligned with my values? Is it something aligned with the kind of a person I am? So the organizations have to play a very important role, and leaders have to play an even bigger role. Are they the people which the employees can identify? Can the employees would love to work with this? And in days to come, talent will become short. So people will have to attract talent. So your organization's branding, your organization's CSR and other things which you do will play a very important role. Now coming to specifics, so the learning environment which an organization provides, the growth opportunity which an organization provides, does the organization practice transparency, do they practice mutual respect, are going to become very, very important. Also, the millennials are digital. Right, they are young, they are very restless, they are ordering their food on Swiggy, they are booking their cabs on Uber. So they expect the IT organizations to also reflect the modernity of their lives. So we have seen people trying to give interviews via video interview on a Skype. They try to know what is their leave balance through a chat bot. I want to apply for a particular leave. Has my PF form been submitted? My appraisal, can we do it over a phone? Can we do over application? So they expect this kind of things. If we are going to have a really traditional and bookkeeping kind of approach to overall people management practice, that would not work. I spoke to you about work-life balance. There are many employees, there are many colleagues of mine, who could only work certain working hours. So I have to give them that flexibility. If I don't give, I lose on the talent.
Lose the talent.
I lose that talent. It affects me. when they celebrate, they want to celebrate by going to a picnic, by going to a restaurant, and those kind of things have to. They expect me to also shake a leg, so I dance with my two left feet at those occasions. But we have to be a part of them, and these things are always required. So creating a fun environment, creating a learning fun environment is also very equally important in IT. So I can sum it up in terms of learning opportunity, digital organization which is reflecting the larger ecosystem, finding your purpose, finding your passion in the organization, a fun environment which respects employees is something which is important.
So, going to my next question, Dr. Karanya, IT is again at the forefront of change, and as you said, in so many ways, it is leading the change, especially compared to some of the traditional industries like, say, agriculture.
Absolutely.
Or manufacturing, as you said. What are the implications for people management of being at the cutting edge?
Yes, there are a lot of changes, or there are a lot of things which are very unique to the IT industry as compared to agriculture or a manufacturing industry. I think the first thing itself is the space which we operate in. The IT industry deals with technology, and technology is ever changing. Right now we are already seeing the rise of digital mobility, artificial intelligence. So the workforce has to change with the changing dynamics, and also the people management practices have to change. I gave you an example where now we have remote employees. My team members are in UK, Germany, Nordics region, and in different parts of the world. Now how do I deal with them? I don't have a party, you know, over a tea stall like I have it here. So how do I keep engaged with them? So those are the things, you know, how do I know their real emotions? What are the challenges happening in their life? So those are the some of the very unique things which are happening. Of course, we have to stay connected. We use the technology. We interact with WhatsApp. Once in a quarter, I go and visit them. I stay connected with them in the other mechanisms, offline mechanisms, so we know what's really happening. Also, the IT industry brings challenges about coping up with change, coping up with technological changes. Gone are the days where you could be a skill of one technology and you are master, you know. Now you have to be a jack of all and master of many, rather than a jack of all and master of one. So multi-skilling is very important. You can't just restrict yourself to one technology. So multi-skilling, reskilling, learning becomes another very important area. And the third thing is acceptance of the societal changes is also very high in IT. Now in IT, since we are people driven, we also reflect the societal changes. I'll give one example. In our offices today, we have people from different regions, from different nationalities. We also have a high acceptance of LGBTQ, which is not so prevalent in other industries. And IT industries have to be really inclusive. Then only they could relate to the larger customer base, larger societal changes which are there. So those are very unique things, and they require the people managers to be accepting of those changes. If I, at my core of my heart, I don't identify with LGBTQ causes, then I cannot be a great people manager. I will always have issues within my team. I'll also like to highlight one very important part of IT industry. In IT industry, there's usually projects. Think of a film, right? For a film, a director comes, producer comes, actor comes, a musician comes, and they make a movie and then they disperse. Similarly, in IT, there's a project for a particular customer, and different teams come together for that defined time duration of that project, which could be 12 months, 18 months. People are from different religions. Now, if I'm a people manager, how do I command these people? Usually what happens in, say, agriculture, manufacturing, utility companies, I have always been your boss for 10 years and we always rise the hierarchy. So the loyalty is inbuilt. Right? Whereas I am getting team members who have never worked with me before. So how do I command their respect? How do I get the work done out of them? Now that's where the inherent professionalism of IT industry comes. That's where the inherent shared value comes. And as a people manager, I need to define those values. I need to define those rules of behavior. rules of organization, and if I have done a good job in the past, people would naturally flock to me as a leader and I can attract their talent. So that's a new challenge of how do you manage fluid teams, how do you manage global workforce, and here your people management practice really have to be a top notch as compared to other industries.
You just mentioned AI.
Correct.
And which we usually understand as the technology mimicking human brain, and we've seen the applications of IT in data analytics or managing big data, crunching numbers. How long will it be before we actually see a robot in workplace, not just in the factory but in offices like ours?
Robots are already here and they are already in existence in many workplaces. Example, banks. There are projects which we have done where we have created robots where the teller is a robot. So when you enter a branch of many banks, and also banks in India, not just North America or Europe, where you enter a bank, you know, you're welcomed by that robot. If your Bluetooth is on, the robot identifies it's Maghi Parikh. She has X amount of money in her bank, so I would like to sell insurance or mutual fund to her, or maybe, you know, she has a particular issue and that's why she's there. So it could predict. It could engage you better. It could also know if your profile setting says that you are a Gujarati, it could converse with you in that language. Now, a very similar example of that is happening for the Tokyo Olympics, which is just 1 year away from us, where all the people coming from different parts of the world are visiting Tokyo. The robots would welcome them in their own language, give them the directions, where is your hotel, where is your athletic campus, where is the training facility, which are the nearby restaurants. So robot will guide you right from the time you land at the Tokyo International Airport. So that's already in there. We also worked on many healthcare projects with hospitals where you try to take an appointment with the doctor. Again, the robots and the bots will converse with you. And let's not just restrict ourselves to the robots as a form of a robot. It could be a mirror. It's all about smart technology. It's all about IoT, artificial intelligence. So we have mirrors where you wake up in the morning and while you're brushing your teeth, it would say, okay, looks like there's dark circles for you, so you need to be taking care of this this cream for you. Or it can also tell you, good morning, you know, I am from ICICI Direct, this is your portfolio. Today, you know, Narendra Modi announced demonetization, so the valuation of your portfolio is this. So it could give you all those interactions and you could buy and sell stocks using the smart mirror itself. So robot and the robotic different forms are already a reality and they could be very near to you. So if you go to a Mumbai branch of HDFC, you will see the robots. If you go to Tokyo Olympics, it will be there. Now, what about robots in our workplaces? What about robots in HR area, right? So one format is, of course, you know, when a new joinee joins the organization, when a new employee comes, how that robot can onboard the person of taking that to the desk, giving him the necessary instructions, giving him necessary manuals and conversing with him like a human being. So when you're trying to recruit thousands of people, you know, maybe the human person could be prone to error, fatigue, giving wrong information, whereas the robot would give the right information in the right language. Creating new learning opportunities. There's a new curriculum which has come, there's a new technology which has come. So I could enhance my learning using those robots, and those robots could have videos, everything embedded. So I think we are just seeing a few years away when robots would be mainstream. Right, I'm sure you also have heard about robots doing surgery, and the robotic surgery is already there in the Times of India ads which we saw on a daily basis.
That sounds fantastic.
It is.
So, nearing the end of this interview, what would be your message for our viewers here? According to you, what will be the opportunities and challenges in the areas of people management, industry irrespective, in general, in your opinion?
The opportunities and the challenges are both very wide. If you look at the overall evolution, the technology is here to stay, digital is here to stay. So we'll see more and more rise of technologies. So expect the global workforce to be connected through digital mechanisms. So your interviews would be video interviews, your assessment would be ongoing assessment. I will not be assessing you at the end of 6 months or 12 months. It would be an ongoing assessment of your role, how you're doing your job. So the way we rate the Swiggy delivery boys or the way we rate the Uber drivers, our ratings would be all data driven and data proven. Similarly, the employee engagement activities, your queries of insurance, everything will be more and more digital. The second important thing which we see is the global workforce is going to be distributed. Now my team is just people sitting around me, but now in the future the people would be across any region. There would be some person from Philippines, some person from Iran, some person from Europe. There would be homemakers who are taking it as a second career and they are working part time. There would be freelancers. The rise of freelancers is also something which is very, very evident, which is known as the gig economy. So your workforce, your employees would be all mix of different people connected via different conversational platforms. Maybe they speak different languages, so the translation softwares would be in place, there would be bots, etc. How do you motivate them? How do you keep engage them? How do you create trust? How do you create mutual respect? Are going to be the challenges of these opportunities which are brought to our table. But at the end of the day, the more important part for the people managers is going to be creating trust, creating a work environment, creating a culture where you attract the best of the talent. The future wars are about the war of talent, and the talent doesn't get excited just by having a big company logo or a big fat check. They want to be in a place where their career experiences could be richer, diverse, they are learning more things. They would like to work with leaders who are ethical leaders, who can speak their mind and are looking really for purpose driven leadership. So the people managers need to create those environment, create those opportunities to attract those talented people. So hence your own personal branding, the kind of work with you do, the kind of culture you are creating, also your organizational branding, your organizational causes are going to become more important. So the opportunities are tremendous, opportunities of digital, global workforce, distributed teams, but at the same time, the challenges are also going to be very wide. But the principles of people management will always remain the same. The classic principles of creating an environment of trust, creating connectedness, shared value with your employees, and providing them with the great learning opportunities. And as I said, leaders should create more leaders.
Sounds fantastic, isn't it? We saw through this interview that the balance of power might be shifting a little bit towards the employee.
Of course.
But that doesn't mean that people management is any less challenging or any less interesting. New elements like technology, globalization are being added, and we learned a lot about first person account from IT industry, which is at the cutting edge of changes and change leadership. So thank you, Dr. Karania, once again.
My pleasure.
I really enjoyed talking to you today, and I'm sure so did our participants here. Thank you very much for time. Thank you very much for sharing your perspectives.
Thank you. It was a great experience for me as well, and hopefully I was able to distill my own insights and bring it to you.
Well, we will ask for their feedback.
Sure.